The Online Student, specially designed for the November 2025 examination session. IB Economics SLHL Paper 2. Text A. Bolivia's Economic and Social Landscape. Paragraph 1. Bolivia, a landlocked country in South America, has a population of approximately 12.8 million people in 2025, up from 11.7 million in 2020. Government policy has increasingly focused on leveraging natural resources, including vast lithium reserves and established hydrocarbon sectors. These assets support the nation's ambitions to become a vital supplier in global renewable energy markets. Paragraph 2. The Bolivian economy has shown resilience over the decade despite external shocks, including the COVID-19 pandemic and commodity price fluctuations. Nominal GDP grew from $40.8 billion in 2020 to an estimated $48 billion in 2025, driven mainly by mining, energy, and agricultural exports. The government has implemented wide-ranging infrastructure projects and incentives to attract foreign investment into key sectors, including mining, especially lithium and natural gas, agriculture, notably soybeans and quinoa, services such as finance and tourism, and manufacturing, food, textiles, and consumer goods. Paragraph 3. As of 2025, GDP per capita stands at $3,750, up from $3,490 in 2020. Improvements in education and health programs contribute to rising living standards, though challenges remain in rural regions where poverty and informality persist. Urbanization has accelerated, with over 72% of Bolivians living in cities by 2025, and social policies targeted at reducing poverty gaps have been implemented in metropolitan areas like La Paz, Santa Cruz, and Cochabamba, such as conditional cash transfer programs for school-aged children and for elderly citizens, subsidies for health and education, urban job creation schemes, and targeted investments in housing and sanitation. Paragraph 4. Inflation has generally been kept in check by prudent monetary policies, including maintaining a managed float for the Boliviano, Bolivia's currency, gradual increases in the central bank interest rate to curb inflation, tight oversight of bank lending, and careful use of foreign currency reserves to stabilize the exchange rate in times of volatility. These actions have kept inflation from rising too quickly, from 1.9% in 2020 to about 2.5% in 2025. However, global food and fuel price volatility continue to pressure domestic prices. Unemployment fluctuated, peaking during the pandemic at nearly 8% in 2022, but falling slightly to 7.6% in 2025. The public sector remains a significant employer, and public investment in education and healthcare has supported job growth. Paragraph 5. Central bank interest rates have risen in recent years, reaching 5% in 2025 in an effort to manage inflation and encourage savings. This policy has affected borrowing costs for households and businesses. The Boliviano exchange rate remains relatively stable against the US dollar, with brief periods of depreciation pressure due to shifts in commodity prices and international capital flows. Text B. Fiscal policy, trade, and inequality. Paragraph 6. Bolivia's fiscal stance has been expansionary since 2020, with public debt rising from $8.1 billion to $10.7 billion in 2025 as the government prioritized infrastructure, social protection, and production incentives. External debt grew moderately, reaching $5.2 billion by 2025, from $4.5 billion in 2020. These borrowings financed key investments, but fiscal budget deficit remains a concern as global borrowing costs escalate. Paragraph 7. With exports of goods and services climbing from $10.5 billion in 2020 to $13 billion in 2025, and imports rising from $11.7 billion to $14.3 billion, the trade deficit persists. Persistent current account deficits reflect the need for sustained capital inflows and financial account surpluses. FDI net inflows reached $0.7 billion in 2025, partly due to increased investor confidence in the mining sector, notably lithium extraction. Paragraph 8. Bolivia's income inequality remains notable, with the Gini index hovering at 0.45, despite modest improvements in social policies targeting the most vulnerable. These social policies include the expansion of social protection, cash transfers, pensions, free primary healthcare, school meal programs, and focused support for marginalized groups including indigenous communities and informal sector workers. As a result, the Human Development Index, HDI, has improved from 0.50 to 0.54 between 2020 and 2025, as adult literacy and life expectancy both increased slightly, suggesting incremental progress but still highlighting the uneven benefits of economic growth. Paragraph 9. Net income and net current transfers have shown little change, with remittance flows providing a key role in the stability of incomes for many households, especially in rural areas. The capital and financial accounts offset current account deficits backed by foreign direct investment and external credit facilities, for example concessional loans and grants from international and regional institutions, market rate financing from commercial banks, and credit from bilateral aid agencies. Paragraph 10. The Bolivian government is working to diversify its economy beyond hydrocarbons by promoting investment in lithium mining and renewable energy. Structural challenges such as skill shortages and limited technological adoption remain. To support environmental sustainability and meet Sustainable Development Goals, Bolivia focuses on expanding clean energy access under SDG 7 and implementing climate action policies under SDG 13, including reducing emissions and protecting ecosystems. These efforts aim to balance growth with sustainability and inclusivity. Paragraph 11, social unrest and strikes in 2024 highlighted persistent demands for wage growth, pension increases, and more equitable resource distribution. The government has responded with a mix of cash transfers, targeted subsidies, and new tax incentives for small businesses to address both short-term social pressure and longer-term development goals. Paragraph 12. The effectiveness of Bolivia's policies in achieving sustainable growth and meeting the SDGs remains debated. While progress has been made in social services and development indicators, challenges like dependence on natural resources and environmental risks could limit long-term success. Continued effort and coordinated policies are needed to ensure inclusive, sustainable development. Table 1. Bolivia Key Economic Indicators. Table 2. Bolivia HDY, Gini, Demographic and Social Indicators. Questions. A1. Define the term inflation rate mentioned in text A, paragraph 4, 2 marks. A2. Define the term current account balance mentioned in Table 1, 2 marks. B1. Using information from Table 1, calculate the percentage change in Bolivia's GDP from 2020 to 2025. 2 marks. B2. Using information from Table 1, calculate the figures X, Y, and Z, i.e. Bolivia's current account, US billion dollars, for the years 2020, 2022, and 2025, 3 marks. C. Using a Lorenz curve diagram, explain what the Gini index figures in Table 2 indicate about income inequality in Bolivia between 2020 and 2025, 4 marks. D. Using an AD-AS diagram, explain how an increase in FDI net inflows in Table 1 might affect Bolivia's economy, 4 marks. E. Using an exchange rate diagram, explain the likely impacts of an appreciating Boliviano on Bolivia's exports and imports, 4 marks. F. Using a production possibility curve diagram, explain the opportunity cost of Bolivia allocating more resources to mining and natural gas production as opposed to agriculture, 4 marks. G. Using information from the text data and your knowledge of economics, discuss the potential effectiveness of fiscal policy measures Bolivia could implement to promote economic development and reduce income inequality, 15 marks. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.